The director and the two stars of this movie had a combined 36 Oscar nominations and 7 wins at the time they made the movie. I dare you to find one with more.
Do you have the papers?
Not yet.
Oh gosh, because you know the position that would put me in, you know, we have language in the prospectus.
Yeah, I know that the bankers can change their mind. And I know what is at stake. You know, the only couple I knew that both Kennedy and LBJ wanted to socialize with was you and your husband, and you owned the damn paper. But that's the way things worked. Politicians and the press, they trusted each other so they could go to the same dinner party and drink cocktails and tell jokes while there was a war raging in Vietnam.
I don't know what we're talking about. I'm not protecting Lyndon.
No, you got his former Secretary of Defense, Robert McNamara, the man who commissioned this study. He's one of about a dozen party guests out on your patio.
I'm not protecting any of them. I'm protecting the paper.
The Post is the story of the newspaper, the Washington Post, and how it dealt with the revelation of the Pentagon Papers back when Nixon was president. Directed by Steven Spielberg, starring Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep, and oh, by the way, lots of others. This one was destined to be a big contender at award season. Well, does it live up to everything, all the potential that's right there in the titles? Well, let's find out with 5 things you might want to know about The Post. If it doesn't quite live up to the promise, it comes pretty close. I really enjoyed this movie. Here's the thing. First thing, right off the bat, Spielberg's so good. You know, there are directors that can awe you with the bells and the whistles and the flashiness, and actually Spielberg can do that too. But here, Steven Spielberg is awing me just with his competence, just with how good he is at just telling a story. The editing is perfect. The pacing is perfect. I'm never waiting for the next thing. I'm never confused. I always understand where I am, what the character's doing. And by the way, in a story like this, that's not always easy. It can be pretty complicated, but he awes you with his competence and, for that matter, confidence of just telling the story, laying it out for you, and just letting you experience it. I love that. The same actually could be said, and we'll make this point number 2, about the 2 leads, about Tom Hanks and Meryl Streep. Neither of them are being especially flashy here in the acting that they're doing. But again, it's just so good. And I think what makes their performances good, and I'm gonna elevate Meryl even a little more than Hanks in this, although they're both phenomenal. It just feels so authentic. There's something that Meryl is doing here with this, you know, owner of this paper who it's kind of been granted to her through her family, and she's kind of trying to find her feet and what it means to her. And it's just so real. I felt like this was a real person. And for a superstar to be able to disappear into a role like that, that is a very rare gift. She has it. Daniel Day-Lewis has it. I think Philip Seymour Hoffman had it. There are just some who, it doesn't matter what role they take, they become that character in your eyes. Your brain knows it's Meryl Streep. You know that's who that is, but you process it as the person they're playing. That's a gift, and she's so good in this movie. And yes, I have to talk about the fact that this is a true story, and I think it's important for a very specific reason. That reason is this movie makes you feel like you're in the room. Many years ago, when newspapers were the primary way people got their information, and the only way to make those newspapers was to really put thought into what you're going to put on the front page, how you're going to get it done, the deadlines, going to print, all that kind of stuff is really fascinating to be there with them. And it feels like you're in the room. Now, I know true stories, they'll change things here and there, right? They'll use dramatic license. But the emotion is right. The tension is right. So even if it didn't happen exactly the way you're seeing it on screen, you know it felt that way. That's the difference I make between a movie like The Post or most true story movies where they get the emotion right, and a movie like American Made or even The Greatest Showman where they get P.T. Barnum so wrong, is that you know it actually didn't feel that way in the moment. That wasn't who that was. And that's a big difference. If you get the emotion and the intensity and all those things right, I think you're going to impress me in the way that this movie did. I just felt like I was right in that room with them, and that this is probably a lot like what it was like. The other thing that's so valuable and interesting about this movie is it just feels so relevant. A vindictive president trying to shut down the way people talk about him, calling what they do false, you might say fake news. It's really interesting to see Nixon in the correlations between Nixon and what we currently have going on in our country. And I think that's important. The importance of free press, the importance of what these people are doing, the importance of making that decision to put the truth, to put the story, to put, going to press above a world leader who might not like it. I think it's one of the coolest things about this country and about the way that things happen. And this movie does such a great job of putting you there, right in the middle of it. So let's talk about the one thing that might be a little negative for some people, the pacing. I think if you don't connect with the material, this movie could feel pretty slow for you. Now, for me, I was into it, so it never felt like it was dragging. But if you're not interested in this stuff, if you're not interested in what they're doing or what it means, you're not connecting to the philosophical implications of it, you're not connecting to the process of it, the media part of it, then I can see how this movie would be boring. But I thought it was good for me, so I'm just going to give this a yellow, but just wanted to give fair warning in case you don't connect to the material. You may not be in it through the entire thing. Overall, though, I had a great time with The Post. I thought it was fascinating. I love what Hanks and Streep are doing here. I love this story. I'm glad to see it portrayed like this. I gave it a solid A-. Thanks for checking out this Your Movie Friend review. We'll get to the best ever challenge here in a bit. Let's connect in a few ways. Let's start with Twitter. Hit me up on Twitter. I'm Aaron Dicer. That's my name. Just search for that on Twitter, AARONDICER. Give a follow there. That's where I do most of my movie conversation. Have a lot of good chats there. You can also subscribe here on YouTube, leave comments, all that kind of fun stuff. I enjoy that. Subscribe to the podcast. If you do the podcast thing, just go in your player and search for SiftPop. It's SiftPop. SiftPop. Just search for SiftPop. We do that every week. Have a great time talking about movies. I'll be heading out to the awards here this week, the Critics' Choice Awards. So I think we'll do a special SiftPop episode from the awards this year. So that could be a lot of fun. Again, it's SiftPop, SiftPop. And thank you for your financial support. It starts at $3 a month. Lots of people actually giving money to this YouTube channel. And thank you for doing that. With the way the ad revenue works here and the size of my channel at this point, that is not enough to keep me doing this. Honestly, what keeps me doing this are the people who say, I like it enough to give $3 every month. If that's you, thank you so much. You can go to patreon.com/yourmoviefriend. And there are perks there, by the way. It does support this channel, but even more than that, you've got some fun stuff that you can look forward to as well. So again, that's patreon.com/studiodna. All right, on to the best ever challenge, where you name the best movie ever in a particular category. Also try to identify my choice. I mentioned right at the top how incredible this director and two leads are as far as Oscar nominations and awards. So let's do this. Best ever movie where the director and the two lead actors, or actresses, or actor and actress, had all at least one Academy Award, one Oscar, for doing the thing that they do in the movie. In other words, the director has to be for directing. The actor has to be for acting. So one for each of them at the time they made the movie. Lots of stipulations here, but this is what makes it fun, all right? At the time they made the movie, they already had at least one, the director and both of the lead actors. This was tough. When I started to do this, I thought it'd be best ever challenge. You'd have a few choices. May not be a lot of choices. I only found one. Good thing is I really like the movie. My clue would be that it is one of the triumvirate from this movie and involves a very, very important delivery. You can take a guess at mine in the comments and wow me if you can find any others. That would be me. I'll give you a point if you can find any movie that has that equation. I would love to see it. Put it in the comments, and I cannot wait. All right, as always, give you a few extra seconds here to hit subscribe. Just click my face.